Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am very excited with a very special guest today, and that's why I'm not going to drop a episode number, because I also have so many more videos I'm still trying to edit to get done to drop to my awesome channel so far. But I have the one and only John Hammond here with us today, who's going to give us an amazing walkthrough when it comes into my running series, Breaking into Cyber. So John, I'm going to read you in real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and get this thing started off. So John Hammond is a cybersecurity researcher, educator, and content creator as part of a research and development threat operation team at Huntress. John spends his days analyzing malware and making hackers earn their access. Previously, as a Department of Defense Cyber Training Academy instructor, he taught the cyber threat emulation course, educating both civilian and military members on offensive Python, PowerShell, and other scripting languages in adversarial mindsets. He has developed training material and informational security challenges on events such as Pico CTF, competitions in DEF CON US. John speaks at security conferences such as B-Sides Nova, to students at colleges at the US Naval Academy, and other online events, including the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge or CrinkleCon. He is an online YouTube personal showcasing programming tutorials, CTF videos, walkthroughs, and other cybersecurity content. With a list of many other things we could easily go into for another 5-10 minutes, John. But I am so glad to have you on the channel, and thanks so much for coming on.
Well, goodness gracious, Andrew. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's great to be here hanging out with you. And again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, John. So as we've talked before, and we've had a few different chats now before getting to do this awesome video today, I have a running series kind of called Breaking into Cyber. And ideally, for those that don't know your origin story, can you kind of break down what initially got you interested into cybersecurity? It's not the day-to-day job that when you're in high school or a kid in elementary school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, I want to be a pen tester. It's a firefighter, a nurse, a lawyer. What was kind of your origin story that got you here today?
Oh boy. Well, do you want the short story or the long story? Which version, I guess? I don't know. Maybe a little bit of both, kind of.
Yeah, let's kind of do a nice little mix of it. Because I mean, a bluff, I'm sure, would be just like, oh, well, this is what happened. But I think I'm actually very curious to hear the full long story, to be honest.
No, well, thank you. First of all, no, I feel like I grew up kind of like a lot of kiddos, thinking, oh, I want to make video games, or I don't know, I think computers are cool, I like technology, but it was more the like, oh, I'm playing some cheesy games, can I make some, can I explore, that sort of thing. So even through like middle school or high school, I was finding what would have been old school Adventure Maker. I don't know if folks were familiar with that one. Game Maker, Yo-Yo Games way back in the early days. And that was kind of neat. That was cutesy. That was fun to, just have a little platformer, a couple squares and pixels moving across the screen. But as I saw, more and more media and just learned a little bit more, I don't know, computer stuff in Hollywood or whatever's in movies, I saw a lot of folks saying, oh, hacking and being a hacker is pretty cool just as well. So I Googled around, I looked out online, and I saw, I think what would have been Eric S. Raymond, one of like the other original leaders and visionaries in a lot of the free and open source software movement. He had a blog. He literally had a post on his website titled How to Become a Hacker. And I tried to read through it and make some sense of it. And it had said, look, you got to learn a little bit of coding. Like, you need to be able to program, you need to be able to at least script and write out software to understand how that thing works. So I originally fell down into the rabbit hole of it. Oh, okay, this is cool. This introduces the whole world of Linux. This showed what Python was as a scripting language or programming language, however you want to bucket it. And that was just falling down like, oh, I'll make software. I think it's cool to create. It's cool to build something that ties in well to the game development world I was having fun with so far. So throughout those early days, that's kind of just what I poked around and played with. I made stuff for, my school, little clubs, extracurricular activity stuff to make organizing planners or websites and silly stuff. It wasn't until I got to what would have been college or university for me, but I had attended the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. So one of the military institutions like a West Point U.S. Military Academy for the Army end, or the Annapolis, the Naval Academy, graduated a lot of Marines as well, the Air Force Academy, etc. But I found myself over at the Coast Guard Academy. Now, the Coast Guard one is interesting because they don't have a strict computer science degree or major or program of study. They don't have even, at least at the time, they didn't have a cybersecurity end of it. Yeah. So as like a freshman or a plebe, or a swab in the Coast Guard end, they tend to, yeah, I know,
my brother attended the Naval Academy, so I'm very familiar with his plebe summer and his.
Totally.
We went to go see him. He's like, I need to go home, and my dad's like, No, you're staying here. It's just the summer. They're phasing people out, but keep going.
So, but exactly that, as like a fourth class cadet, right? I was trying to, I don't know, find my way and try to do something to learn more, improve myself, because I came in with what I hoped was some technical chops, but there was apparently some competition or game or an event that was kind of going on. Cyber Stakes was the name of this way back when, where it was going to be a little competition between all the different service academies. So Air Force Academy, Naval Academy, blah, blah, blah. And Coast Guard was in the mix. So I was happy to see and understand, there'd be like some online qualifier round. And then if you did well enough, you could go compete on site in person. And I had no idea. I literally had no clue that this was a capture the flag. So capture the flag, like gamifying cybersecurity, exploits, vulnerabilities, breaking binaries, reverse engineering, blah, blah, blah. But I have this vivid memory because I tried hard in the qualifiers to make sense of, I know a little bit of the Python stuff. I can code this here and there. So I did well enough to be able to be on the team, or like the 4 or 5 folks that got to go to this on-site competition. And I have this vivid memory, and this sounds silly, forgive me, but I think you might appreciate it. As you know, the fourth class cadet or the swab or the plebe, you've got to be at like the position of attention, the center of the P-way, squaring all your corners and being sharp and militant. I need to go down the stairs and the ladder well, and you have to be at the absolute edges, squaring all your corners. So at 3 a.m, when we had to get on whatever bus that we were taking to go drive to where this was on site, I just remember being like groggy, waking up, but I'm super pumped and excited because like, this is so cool. Like, this is the opportunity to do cybersecurity stuff, do tech, do computer work for like a real mission, for like a really fulfilling purpose. Like, hey, let's get security right or improve the world and the internet and the digital world that we're in. So at that point, that opened the floodgates, that competition, that capture the flag, just really is when the dam broke down of, hey, I totally want to chase this. I think it's an incredible mission.
No, and I think it's important. And I think a lot of folks that are in our careers and in our aspirations of getting into cybersecurity, that are mentoring, I am so a mentee to my mentors. There has to be the passion behind what you're doing within this field. I get so many times, all the time, people coming up to me, I want to get into cybersecurity. I'm like, well, that's awesome. Well, what do you want to do? And that's kind of like my next question, I guess, when it comes to when folks come up to you, and obviously you're very recognized across different conferences, and folks come up to you and talk to you, and they ask for that advice of like, how do I do it? How do I get into cybersecurity? I know my first kind of question is like, well, kind of like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Cause like, what are you looking to getting into? Do you like breaking things? Do you like reverse engineering things? Do you like I'm very much blue team oriented with SOC analyst work. So I'm very much I love catching my red team. I like being that guy saying, this is not supposed to be here. We should check this. Go talk with my purple team to deconflict. Yeah, if that was a red team op, you guys got it. I'm like, gotcha.
Heck yeah.
But what's some good advice you usually give people when it comes into what they can do? I mean, obviously there's tons of stuff you have going on right now with justhacking.com. There's tons of YouTube content. Professor Messer obviously is like the leading realm of Security Plus whenever I had to go through and get the Sec Plus study material down. But what kind of advice do you give out to people when they just kind of ask you like, what do I do to break into cyber?
Oh man. Yeah. Super good question. And I maybe have a bad answer. I don't know, or a boring answer, because just as you were alluding to, there's just so much in the world and realm of cybersecurity. Like if you like, the pen tester, red team, hacker, leet vulnerabilities and exploits, cracking across an Active Directory domain, or beating up web apps, or hey, understanding more of that cryptography end, or I don't know, you're seeing some of the new hotness with AI or machine learning or whatever blockchain stuff. I don't know. There could be anything. There could be so much stuff. Really, it boils down in my mind to just do what is fun. Just do what you enjoy and have a passion for, just as you said, because that's the only way that you can keep going, and you'll keep doing it because you want to, because it's going to get tough. It's going to get a little tiring. There are a lot of walls that you run into, but if you just love this thing, then you keep pushing on. So it's funny when folks are trying to say, or they answer when I ask and you ask, what are you interested in? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know yet. There is too much stuff out there. Usually the best advice, and I've heard other folks say this, and I really tend to agree, is like, hey, try a little bit of everything. Just kind of dip your toes in the water, see what feels cool, see what you do enjoy. And then if you realize, you recognize, this one isn't for me, I want to go play in this other pool, that's okay. Like, that's totally cool. Drop it, move on to the next thing, because it is just paramount, it's critical and vital that you find what's fun. So you play.
Yeah. No, and it's if you never work a day in your life and you're always having fun, it's fun to go to work. It's fun to go into what you're doing, right? And just like that, I usually tell people the same thing. Like, hey, look, like breaking into the field, like it took me a year. And it's also because I'm married, I have kids, I was working as a law enforcement officer. So trying to pivot to where I need to learn new skills. I need to learn all this educational gaps I've not done because I'm in a very public servant realm right now when it comes into report writing, documentation, communication, those soft skills, which we'll talk about here very shortly, because that was a huge help for me breaking into this field that I've gotten tons of compliments on by a lot of my management of just having those soft skills and report writing skills. And that's one thing I try to make sure I explain to people too, no matter what team you go on to, no matter what field, whether GRC, blue team, red team, compliance, AI engineer, like DevSecOps, having the soft skills, I think, is huge. Oh, yeah. And when it comes into knowing how to write a report, knowing how to talk to your, like if you're going to be client facing or talking to your C-suite level executives that may know nothing about cybersecurity. Many times in the military, I've gone to places where we've done briefings to the generals or whoever's in charge of that domain. And they're very well educated and they're smart individuals, but they're not cyber. Right. But they still own that network. And so when we have to break down vulnerabilities we find, reports we find, I use securing a house as I think one of the best analogies I can use when it comes to like their network. Like imagine you just bought a brand new house and you want to protect it. That your house is your network. If I don't want someone to break into my front door, I might get a security screen door. I might get a camera. I might get dogs. There's tons of different things that you can correlate to, like, hey, that could be your WAF. That could be your endpoint detection system or EDR. Setting up specific alerts you're seeing with your logs. Hiring analysts to go and look through all these. And then, okay, now we're going to put up a fence. Now we're going to put up window security bars. Those are the things that are going to be protecting you and protecting your network. And that's how we kind of try to correlate that when it comes to talking to our C-suite folks. Do you have a time where you've had to talk to somebody, I guess, when it comes to, obviously with Huntress, you guys do tons of security for a lot of organizations. And can you maybe break down like that importance of why having those soft skills and those communication skills to talk to everyone when it comes to that C-suite level, your DevSec engineers? Why is it important to have those soft skills in this industry?
Yeah. No, my day job is over at Huntress, and I'm certainly one of the nerds and geeks and, hey, someone kind of on the keyboard to cut up malware and chase hackers and all that. But at the same time, I am, hey, trying to communicate in either blogs or email communications or even just calls with partners. Or if I get up on stage and do some little cheesy presentation, or if I'm chatting with reporters or, I don't know, jumping on TV, whatever needs to happen. That is a whole nother ballgame where you just need to communicate and work as a person and just be a fellow human. So it's always really just kind of trying to meet the other individual at the other end of the conversation where they're at. If they don't have all the technical skills or they just don't quite have the know-how, that's totally okay. But just as you mentioned, it's, hey, can I find the analogy? Can I find the right picture? Can I find the metaphor and the way to parallel this into what you understand? And that's not trivializing, that's not belittling their intelligence. It's just acknowledging you live in a wholly different world. Like you're a business owner, hey, you're dealing with your family and friends, and maybe, oh, your kids are playing Minecraft, but hey, they've got something that could totally be vulnerable with some new CVE that hit the streets. So be worried about your own personal devices and what they're using on their computer, blah, blah, blah. You have to find something that, okay, bridges the gap between where you are and where they are. And I think you mentioned, a little bit of the military upbringing that really helps, and just being able to chat with folks and, okay, break this down into a way that that they're working with. And the best thing that I could suggest there is really just try to practice that. I think we selfishly, both you and I, maybe have a little bit of an edge because we do the silly thing on YouTube, because we make content, because we try to, hey, distill all this stuff down so other folks can learn along the way. So maybe it sounds silly, but I'd really recommend it to anyone. Just try, practice, get a chance to share information at every level that you can.
Yeah, it's funny. Tyler Ramsby over at Rhino Security, he even reckoned like, hey, make a YouTube channel. Whether you don't have to make it social. You can make YouTube channels private, but practice talking in front of a camera and like just review how you sound. I know on previous interviews I've done here on my channel too. Like once I post my videos, and even while I'm editing my videos, I will rewatch them during the interview, and I'll still point out things like, man, I could have done that better, or I kind of rushed that, or I said that too fast, and I probably could have broken that down more. And I think, like you said, it's huge. It's like understanding where you need to kind of meet when you're kind of coming across to those conversations for clients or even just colleagues or friends. Like I have friends that are lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. So anytime they start to lawyer talk me, I'm like, okay. Like break that down for me. Like, yeah. I'm like, hey, break that down for me. And that's another huge thing right now too, within the industry when it comes into like, I know some folks that are lawyers, like I still want to get into cybersecurity. I'm like, oh dude, there's places for lawyers in cybersecurity. I can't talk on that realm, but understanding the legal aspect of things when it comes into like, I almost maybe tie it into maybe audit GRC compliance when it comes into the big organizations of things. Obviously cybersecurity is a huge thing, but I don't know if that's really where I'd want to put lawyers at when it comes into reviewing things like that. But yeah, I think it's just like you said, like talking to friends. Like I have a few friends that we had I'm on tons of Discords, and even at different conferences I've gone to, you go to the career village and they'll do mock interviews, resume reviews, or a buddy will be like, hey guys, I'm interviewing for this new role. Can three of us just jump into a Discord channel real fast? And I'm going to give you guys some pre-vetted questions. I just want you guys to ask me, and then I'm going to practice like my responses and just put them in a different order, or just throw off a random one in front of me so I can just kind of see how I respond. And to me, that's huge. And like you're helping additional people grow and your friend network. And just like you said, practice makes perfect. When it comes into building out content or trying to break down some complex like write-up is maybe the way I see it too for a lot of the CTFs my friends and I have been into.
Yeah.
We try to do the same thing where it's like, hey, look, if we had to go give this to like our mom or our grandma, or someone that's never done cybersecurity before, is our write-up clear enough to where they could actually sit down here and follow it to somewhat get to almost to a complete state? So, which also kind of goes into probably my next question. You're just hacking the site. So obviously you're across many different platforms. You've done conferences. You've been on YouTube for probably going on now, I think, 5 years plus? I don't know exactly how long you've been on now, but over 2 million subscribers, which you just recently hit. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But now we saw Just Hacking, and I've been to the site. I've seen some of the training you have going on. You have tons of great content creators and other amazing men and women inside the industry that are helping out build amazing content. Can you just kind of talk about that for us real quick, and kind of what inspired Just Hacking?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, no, it's funny. I think looking back, I've had this silly YouTube channel as kind of my, main stage, main platform. Like that's HQ, that's home base for me for a long time. You mentioned the 2 million subscribers, which is incredible, a blessing. It's surreal, but that's across, like over 1,000 videos. That's like 1,600 videos. And if you look way, way back in the archives, that's videos and content from like 2009 was an old channel, and then 2011 for the channel that it's on right now. So I don't know if we're up to like 15 years. And for a long, long while, it's been me. It's been me doing the demos, me running the show, me making the videos. But I want to really, really embrace and shine the spotlight and showcase other super cool, incredible creators, people, industry experts, wizards, and just fantastic folks that do great stuff in cybersecurity in our industry and our community. So I had the thought, and it's a balancing act, because, everyone says, oh, you got to make courses, haha, cheesy, blah, 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 academy, schoolhouse crap. And I don't know. I can't do that. I can't, because I'm a YouTuber. I make a YouTube video, I put it out, and then it's done. But
bam, bam, boom.
Yeah. And it's very, very difficult for, I guess, classic cookie cutter YouTube to make 10-hour, 20-hour labs, lessons, exercises, quizzes, etc. for a course. But I'd like to join forces and collaborate with a lot of those other incredible people. So it's, again, just a blessing. So fortunate and so grateful to work with those individuals that are helping lead the charge. We kind of call them our all-stars, the all-star instructors that put together these hack-along exercises, these upskill challenges, and these courses. But it's been a great labor of love. I think it's been a success. I think we've been able to highlight and really bring to the table cool stuff in an accessible and affordable way, with labs, with, hey, an environment you can dive right into, with knowledge checks, with everything that I hope benefits someone's learning. And I'm just so grateful that it's a team. It's not just me. It's great to be together with a crew of people to make it happen and make some really good stuff happen.
No, 100%. And the thing I love about the content too is, like, you said it yourself, labs. So a lot of things, and it's going to lead into our next question about certifications and kind of what would be recommended when it comes into folks breaking into the field. I know recently you just took the TryHackMe SOC Analyst Level 1 certification. Loved your video, cracked me up there. Like, oh, at least I'm a SOC Analyst Level 1 at the end. I thought that was super funny. And but I recently took it. I actually very much enjoyed the course. There was a few repeats I didn't like on. I think a lot of the folks across that have taken the course kind of like said, like, there's just kind of repeats when it comes into alerting. I think, I don't know if you and I had the identical same SOC 2 simulation, because I know you also didn't, like, you still passed certification overall.
Yep.
But you still didn't get like a passing score on that second lab. And I also had the same issue. So I'd love to talk to you later, maybe offline, and say, hey, was it this lab?
Was the gimmick there? Yeah.
That's the funny thing of it. But when it comes into certifications experience, so I very much tell people that obviously your gateway cert is Security Plus. I think it's now kind of elevated up to CYSA, but there's Blue Team Labs Level 1. There's the SOC Analyst Level 1 certification with TryHackMe, which I very much enjoyed the simulations of getting me into their sim, messing around with Splunk, going through logs, writing the reports. Do you have kind of I won't call it a cookie cutter, but do you kind of have, like, when someone says I want to get into the field, is like a go-to certification that you like to recommend that people kind of look into?
I try to still be cognizant of, their direction, their path, their interests, because a lot of folks are saying, oh, I want to hack, I want to be a pen tester, blah, blah, blah. So that's OSCP, like the Offensive Security Certified Professional, certainly comes to mind and tends to take the top spot, if just for industry recognition. I know everyone's got a couple gripes, everyone has their own opinions, but that's just what...
That's the standard right now.
Yeah. Blue team defense, hardening, security end of it is harder to find the standout, pedestal, but Blue Team Labs Online, a lot of the TryHackMe SOC Analyst stuff. I know Hack the Box has put some cool stuff out there. There is a lot now trying to get better in that Blue Team realm, which is awesome, which is a good thing. But
that Blue Team,
yeah, agreed. I don't know. Can I sprinkle in just one tidbit? Because I feel like I fell down this rabbit hole like many of us probably do, and that's A-okay. But in my mind, I see sort of 3 different tiers of certifications, like in your own growth, your own trajectory, your own path to get into the industry and do what you want to do. Yeah. In the early days, I absolutely was like that. Oh, Pokemon trainer, I got to catch them all. I want to get every single cert that I can to flex and learn as much as I can and add these accolades to my resume. And I know a lot of folks, when you're hunting for your first job in the industry, like, that's awesome. Those are going to add to your arsenal. They are going to help you stand out. And those are good things to beef up your portfolio. Let me add the caveat. It's not always necessary. You can get through the door without it, but it helps. And anything you add those skill points, cool thing. Maybe when it gets to like stage 2 or tier 2, when you've got your job and hey, now you just are trying to learn more either on the job, more specific to what you're doing for your day-to-day actions. You get a couple more certs and, oh, maybe that's something that your employer helped pay for, but it's something you're excited about and you keep playing with. And then it's fun. It's not a pressure or crunch to get all this stuff like the Pokemon Master, collect them all. Maybe tier 3, and I'll admit, I think I'm here now, where I'm good. Like, I'm feeling very content. I'm happy with, okay, that professional state that I've landed in. And I like a lot of certifications to explore and to learn new things, but I'm not going to be beating myself up of like, oh, I got to go get the new ECPTX, whatever.
Yep.
It's just something that I'd love to explore given the time, but we all know, hey, time it runs out at the end of the day.
What is time?
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry for rambling.
No, that's a perfect rant, because I've talked to a few different SOC managers on my channel as well, and like I'm sure you've sat on hiring panels as well when it comes to Huntress and previous roles. And honestly, you're nailing the head. Like, you can have every abbreviation or letter at the end of your name or email chain of, I have OSCP, Sec Plus, Net Plus, A Plus, CASP, Combined Cert, Stackable. But if you can't talk on it and you can't use the stuff you learned from the courses, it's just a piece of paper on a wall.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, I emphasize to people too, like, look, I'm like, just like you said, I think getting through the HR algorithm, having a degree, having certifications does make that easier, because you're hitting those keywords. You're getting through at least to sit on an interview with a manager. But when it comes into, and Jeremy Giroux over at Charles Schwab's Security Operations Center, he said the same thing. He's like, look, if I have a guy sitting on a panel with, they have two identical resumes, one has his GSEC SANS class, but some other guy has his Sec Plus, but that guy with a Security Plus can talk better on security than that person that paid that $10,000 maybe out of pocket for that SANS certification. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to go with the best candidate. Yeah. So I always emphasize the same thing. Like, look, if you're like, I self-invested on some of my own certifications without the military, and then I've leveraged my military and also worked to pay for certifications. But if you're willing to self-invest and want to go down that route, awesome, do it. But just make sure you're retaining that information that you can then use and then show proof of concept when you're actually in an environment, you're inside a lab, you're doing CTFs, you're jumping on Hack the Box. I know when I was breaking into the field, I am top 2% and try hack me when I was breaking into my first role with the state of Arizona. And it's hard, like you said, I think, getting into the industry when you're doing a career change, you're doing a pivot. And even some folks coming out of college with killer degrees and back ends on software engineers and DevSec, a lot of companies are looking for unicorns. And you know what? That's fine. Just be the best candidate, stack up those certifications if that's the route you want to go. But I think, like you said, alone, at least even back now going on 7-8 years when I was going through, there was Try Hack Me, TMC Security was kind of coming up around with Heath Adams. He used to have all of his stuff like for Pay What You Can, anti-siphon training, Hack Smarter. There's so much now, I think, that you can just now leverage when it comes into free training, that you don't have to go down that cert pipeline rabbit hole of like, I need to get every cert. I need to get all the badges. I got to get that. You don't. I think you're 100% on the money where it's like, hey, find what you enjoy. So if you really like doing Python or API hack testing and going into big data languages and getting up to tell them that your grandma's on fire and the door's locked and you have to get the root password in order to put her out, go that route. And I think it's just fun. Do what's also fun. Like, I've talked to a few folks now with like AI hacking, which is like still above me, but like hack Gandalf AI.
Oh yeah, Gandalf is super cool. Yeah.
So Gandalf's like a fun little, like, pretty much hack the AI where it's like, hey, there's 8 little levels where it's like, hey, get this to give you the password or the secret word. And I'll sometimes kick people to that. Like, hey, look, if you can get to the 8th level, congratulations. You've technically just done some AI hacking, because you are telling that AI, even though it's not supposed to give you something, you just forced it to give you the thing it wasn't supposed to give you. And that in all retrospect is hacking. It's being curious, asking questions, and then just trying to dive into, well, I wonder what I can do with this. Can I break this? Can I round it? Can I bypass it? And it's just fun. I think, at least.
I've had a lot of really neat and interesting conversations, actually, if I may, over in that AI direction, because I had a cool little opportunity to go chat with some like Microsoft folks, a little silly networking event, whatever, in the area. But I got to meet with like their AI, like red team director that's doing a lot of the AI testing or testing AI's adversarial efforts with the stuff that they're building. And it kind of like shifted my mind, because I always come to the thought of like, how do you do that? How? It's non-deterministic. The AI is going to give you a different answer a lot of different times. How do you reliably test or see what the security state is for the black box? But it was really cool. She was telling me like, you know what? the same way that you think of a payload in the syntax for, a cross-site scripting attack or like local file inclusion, or just what we traditionally might recognize in the cookie cutter classic InfoSec cybersecurity stuff for endpoint vulnerabilities, blah, blah, blah. AI, think of the payload as just anything you can say in English in the real world, or any picture that you upload, or any video that you give it, or any sound or audio. Like the way that you can input things as what would be a payload is now totally different, which is probably when the light bulb moment hit for me. It's like, oh, wow, that is quite a cool security conversation when like the words that I use in communication and in chats with the chatbot AI is totally where I can make, oh, yeah, business email compromise, leak, server side corruption, blah, 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 exploits. Like, oh, wow, that's cool.
Well, awesome, John. Well, a few other questions for you, then we'll kind of wrap up. Obviously, you've done so many different talks. You've talked at colleges, you've talked at cons, you've talked at DEF CON, you've hosted rooms on Hunter CTF. Awesome time this year, by the way. I've been doing that the last 3 years. Always a ton of fun. Yeah, me and some of my Army warrant officer buddies are like, yo, guys, let's get a team together. This is going to be a fun time. Do you have a favorite kind of conference maybe, or maybe a favorite talk you've gotten to give?
Ooh, favorite talk that I've gotten to give. Super good question.
There's so many.
I mean, it's a good question because I have my own imposter syndrome and burnout and total like weaknesses kind of that we all do, and my own mental health that I try to juggle and balance, blah, blah, blah. And I always like totally struggle with, hey, if I'm granted the opportunity, and it's such an honor and it's very flattering whenever someone, hey, invites for like a keynote, super sweet. It means the world to me and I'm over the moon, but I'm like, okay, how do I give you, the individual that asked, and the conference and the attendees and the viewers, how do I give them something that is keynote worthy, that is okay with that gravitas, with that caliber? And I'm like, dang, it's got to be super cool, low level, lead, technical, kernel exploit, VM escape, like wizardry.
We're releasing a new CVE today.
But I also grapple with, hey, it's not going to hit everybody. And that's not what I can do. That's not what I can always bring to the table. So when we get to higher level conversations and even some of that, thought leader, buzzword thing, I think it's still very necessary. When I had the first opportunity with Wild West Hacking Fest, I think back in 2023, John Strand, Black Hills Information Security, Anti-Siphon Training, sweetest thing in the world. They offered that as a keynote. And that was my first try, my first keynote experience. My title was, I'm a security charlatan and so are you. And it was supposed to be like, let me fall on my sword. Let me say, I don't know WTF I'm doing. We're all in the same boat. We're learning together. Let's break down the barriers. Let's lower the gates and gatekeeping. And like, let's be here to celebrate what we're doing. And I hope that landed, but I had so much fun with the like, look, let me put the shields down. Let me put the mouse down and say, I'm a charlatan. And we all are because of what we do. We're learning. There are no experts in cybersecurity. So I've been playing with that as much as I can. Another recent talk has been like, look, I want to be a script kiddie when I grow up. Something I'm bringing for a lot of the B-Sides events this year are like, hey, are we ever going to get off the InfoSec treadmill? So I think they zoom out a little bit, and those are the ones that I hope still resonate and at least offer food for thought for people to think on more. And it's not all just, the ones and zeros, hardcore code syntax, leet stuff, but just us, people, doing the work and making the change that we can. So.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I think it actually leads into the next kind of perfect kind of tidbit. Like, so DEF CON's coming up obviously this year in August, and I'm working with Josh Mason over at Synac, and there is a new village coming this year called Noob Village. Excellent. Noob. And it's ideally just for that. Like, hey, look, if this is your first time at a conference, if you are looking into getting into IT, we're going to have simple things such as like a super junior friendly CTF, a booth that's like no stupid question unanswered, or it's like you can answer any stupid question you want, because just like everyone, I have a few funny stories that even like I like to share growing through the ranks here of getting into cybersecurity. My first job when I left law enforcement was a senior information security analyst. My first job into the field, I told my SOC manager, I'm like, hey, if we need to change that to junior, I'm totally okay with this. Like, nah, man, it's just for HR purposes. You're fine. You'll figure it out. But that was a big deal for me. And like, even that imposter syndrome, which everyone at some point in your career, if you don't already have it, you will have it. But it was like, man, like I'm looked at a senior level title for this state position for Department of Homeland Security. We had counties, cities, organizations coming to us with questions, and they'd come look at me like, hey, you're a senior at the state. What should we do? I'm like, give me 5 minutes to quickly Google,
figure it out.
Like Google what is, and it's just, but it's just like you said, like being a normal human being and just talking to people. And I am the first one to ask when I jump into a room or sit into a meeting and I hear terms or abbreviations I've ever heard before, or if like I call it a dumb question come to mind where I've learned that there are some stupid questions, but if you ask them the correct way, or if you pivot correctly. So I've asked my engineers, like, hey, is this a question I can ask that we already know this internally that I just may not have that tribal knowledge for? Or could that be a question that we can ask and then hopefully gets like an RF, a request for information back on that could be good feedback for the whole? Like, oh no, that's a really good question. I'm like, all right, second question. Should I ask this question or should you ask this question? Because in some organizations, depending on your title, and this is just because of businessisms and I think certain titles, they rather see it coming from an engineer rather than like a tier 1 security analyst, which is fine. Titles went from one of my great friends, Eli Woodward, who is a CTI threat expert out, I think, for early warnings. He's like, titles are stupid and meaningless and they mean nothing. You could be the most junior person on your team or you could be the most senior person on your team, and all the information that you can find could always be the solution. But yeah, with New Village, it's going to bring a bunch of those, I think, hopefully just those people that have those basic questions or kind of, they want to figure out how to get into cybersecurity. They don't know what they're really enjoying and liking, that can kind of bring them together and kind of like, hey, I want to go to the Lockpick Village, but I don't know where I've never been here before at the convention center. Oh, you know what? We're going to have a little hacker buddy with you. We'll send you a hacker buddy to walk you there. You'll small talk, network, and then break into your Lockpick Village, and then your buddy will lead back. But networking is my next, and I think second to last question is obviously going to conferences, getting to talk to a ton of people. People want to grow their network and look for maybe that next role they're trying to get into. Any recommendations, or how important would you say networking is when it comes into cybersecurity in this field?
If I could bundle it up, I think like the amount of opportunities that you have are so vastly different, bar none, when you network with people, communicate, and just grow your relationships and your connections. Like, hey, the chance that you and I get to chat and hang out, it's just, hey, because we saw each other online across the internet airwaves. I'm like, hey, do you want to chat a little bit more? It'd be great to get to know you. Let's meet. Let's do something together. Super cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think you go out and ask and make sure, hey, you can get something to happen. Whether, it's at events where you get to schmooze, rub elbows with some bigwigs, like stuff will fall in your lap when you can kind of go out and network. And I know it's a silly word, and it's got whatever connotations of networking, add you to my professional network. But at the human level, like, hey, that's what's going to let you go to this cool new event. That's what's going to make someone think of you when they've got this other opportunity coming up. They're going to, I've got this friend, this individual, this fellow. I just can't say without a doubt more and more good things. It is really, really something that you can't sleep on. Make friends, be with people. So many more opportunities just arrive at your door when you're out and about and you're part of the community in the industry.
Yeah, a lot of people, I've done some mentoring the last few months, and it's just like, it's so hard for me to meet people. I'm like, honestly, I've leveraged my LinkedIn to find maybe like my top 5 dream jobs, like, or big industries like Google, Huntress, CrowdStrike, Splunk, Elastic. And I find people in those roles and like, hey, look, best advice I can give when it comes to growing your LinkedIn network, there's a little button when you click add connection. Once you click add connection, you have 2 choices. You can either send a blank connection, which is just like, hey, I'm just going to add this person, and they're going to hopefully look at my face and say, yeah, I guess Andy looks cool. We'll be friends. We'll be network buddies. Or you can add a note. I have probably in the last year been adding notes to any and all connections I send out, wanting to grow my network. A quick hello, hi, my name's Andrew Crotty. I'm also in the cybersecurity range field. I know you have this title, which I aspire to be a SOC manager, a CISO, a junior CISO, DevSecOps engineer. And I've been following some of your content. I really appreciate what you put out. Would just love to connect and grow my network. 99.99% of the time, just by that small little note of trying to put a human piece of connection to that little piece of data that goes out as a connect on LinkedIn, has grown relationships on my LinkedIn, on professional growth, on mentors I've reached out to now to talk to on progression. And I think just like you said, when it comes into networking and mentoring, by being able to network and then find possibly even a mentor for your next role, that's another thing I 100% recommend for people to do. Find someone that is doing the next role up, or that next role you want to be, or that position you want to be into, and see if they'd be willing to talk. Hey, I noticed you're a security analyst. I'm trying to become a security analyst. If you have 10, 15 minutes, could we just link up on a Google Meets call or a chat I could ask you some questions. And just by doing that alone, it's helped me grow as an individual when it comes into teaching. And even for those junior folks I've gotten to chat with, they're so appreciative of just, look, like I'm really just trying to get into this field and I just have so many questions, but I haven't really found anyone I can kind of ask. I'm like, hey, shoot me an email, drop me a message on LinkedIn. And just giving that information back and being able to help people grow into this field. Like at some point in time, John, I know it's crazy to think, but John Hammond will want to retire and not do cyber anymore. And just like myself and in the military, we're trained as warrant officers, like, hey, look, you are going to find your replacement and train your replacement to take your spot. So when it comes into like, that's why I think mentoring and a lot of the stuff that you're already doing across your YouTube channel, just hacking, you're already leagues above a lot of other folks when it comes into training that next generation of security analysts, pen testers, GRC compliance audit, you name the cyber role you want to get into. And by jumping into the training that you're putting out, it's putting people leagues ahead of where they need to be up against other peers. So huge thank you, by the way, for what you've been doing with that as well.
Well, thank you so much. It's a labor of love, sometimes more labor than it is love, but it is just so fulfilling and a great meaning to me in my old life. So happy to do it.
Well, John, I got one last question for you. And then, of course, my always parting question before we leave. But when you're not cybering, when you're not hunting for threats, when you're not doing cybersecurity research, what do you like to do for fun? What does John like to do when he gets to unplug or maybe plug into a game and kind of not do cyber?
Yeah, well, thank you. No, I try to take it easy, whether it's just getting a chance to relax, chill out, watch TV, spend time with my fiance. We have 2 dogs, so hey, we'll go out for a walk. Maybe we'll do whatever outdoor stuff we can to kind of get out and about. I will admit, guilty pleasure. I do play a couple games here and there. I'm still stuck up on Modern Warfare 2 DMZ, but on the whole other end of that spectrum, I still play a lot of Super Smash Brothers. I main Ganondorf and Ultimate. So that's falling up my sword.
No, too cool, man. And then are you going to be at DEF CON this year, you think?
I will, absolutely, without a doubt.
Awesome. Very exciting. Well, would love to see you pop in maybe at New Village.
Totally.
I don't know where you'll be kind of sitting or floating around with for the whole time there. But huge thank you as always for coming on and getting the chat with us here on our awesome series of Breaking the Cyber. Is a huge thank you. I'm going to have you pick out some awesome, cool Ginger Hacker swag. Just as a thank you for coming on to the channel and letting me steal you away for about an hour. But last piece of advice or last words of wisdom that you'd want to give somebody that's trying to break into cybersecurity?
Well, goodness, thank you so much. But yeah, if I wrap it up, I don't know, maybe it's a 3-prong approach, but hey, do what's fun, do what you love. Make sure you can document, show your work, take your own notes so you've got something to build out your own extra brain as you're growing and learning, and share it with other people. Make sure that's out and about so you can grow that network and keep making new opportunities come to you. Learn in public, build in public. It's all that stuff to be part of the community. So thank you.
Awesome, John. Hey, everybody. As always, this is an amazing episode of Breaking the Cyber. I will catch you guys on the next video.